I have a podcast and a radio show, just like every other person in my generation. And the only thing more annoying than podcasters are people that do CrossFit, which I used to do religiously. So you can imagine at that point in my life, I was insufferable because if you have a podcast or you do CrossFit, you bring it up in every conversation that you ever have. It's just what we do. It's a character flaw, much like this one, right? But in this podcast, I interview Christian musicians. If you listen to Christian music, it would be people that you've heard of. And I usually do them over Zoom. And we'll talk a few minutes before the interview starts. And one of the things I always tell them is this. I say, listen, I don't know what you thought we were going to do when you came on this show today, but we're not going to talk about your music at all. We're going to talk about your stories. Because what I've come to appreciate and understand is that God writes fascinating stories in the lives that He's given to us. So as we go through these interviews, one of the questions that I ask every single one of them is this. I say, what got you into music to begin with? And as they answer that question, almost every one of them will mention a person. That there's somebody along the way that told them that they see something in them musically, that somebody somewhere encouraged them to cultivate a gift or a talent that they saw in them. And I think this is incredibly significant. You pair that with the culture that we live in, and we speak in blanket beliefs. If you're a Republican, you're supposed to believe everything the Republicans believe. If you're a Democrat, you're supposed to believe everything the Democrats think. If you're in a religious denomination, if you're in this denomination or that denomination, you're supposed to believe everything that's within it. And without realizing it, we have brought this and applied it to our day-to-day rhythms of life. We talk to children about being well-rounded. You need to be well-rounded. Do a lot of stuff. And while we may need to spend some time trying various things to discover our gifts and our passions, church, I need you to hear me say something. We were not designed by God to be well-rounded. We were designed specifically and specially. The list of things that you're not good at, and if this hurts your feelings, we'll hug it out at the end, all right? So just hold on to your seat. The list of things that you're not good at is way longer than the list of things you are good at. But the list of things that you're great at, or that you have the ability to be great at, is even shorter. But what that list right there begins to tell you is it's how the God of the universe designed you, how He made you. And so in a world that tells us, hey, be well-rounded, and it's a well-meaning statement, it's not true. It's not true because we were never supposed to be well-rounded. We were designed very specifically, very specially. And there's a few things that the God of the universe placed within you, every one of us, you ready? That you're great at. And those things that you're great at, you ready for this even more? You love it. It does something within you. There's this life to it. And so what I want us to do today is we look at Psalm 139. If you're not there, you can go ahead and turn there. Psalm 139 is I want to show you that what I'm talking, this ain't a TED talk, all right? This is not just me being like, let's get some motivational speaking going up here today so that you guys feel better about yourselves. What I want you to understand is everything that I'm saying to you is what God has already said to us. It's just a matter of do we understand it? So right there in Psalm 139, look at verse 13. Verse 13, Psalm 139, verse 13. For you formed my inward parts. You knitted me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, for I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works. My soul knows it very well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was being made in secret intricately woven in the depths of the earth. Your eyes saw my unformed substance. And in your book were written, every one of them, the days that were formed for me, when as yet there was none of them. If you have your outline, you can fill in the first blank here. The first thing I want you to understand is that you were designed by God. You were designed by God. It tells us right there in verse 13, it says, you formed my inward parts. You knitted me together in my mother's womb. What you need to understand is that there's nothing about you that is an accident. The God of the universe put it there. He designed you. He formed you. He knitted you together. And this may surprise you. I don't knit, all right? Don't laugh that hard about it. Like, that's a hurtful. Listen, it's not one of my gifts, okay? Just calm down. We got to laugh about it. No, I don't knit. But I know enough to know this, is that when someone does knit something, it is thread by thread, piece by piece. Everything about it is created on purpose. And so when you read this, he says, put your name in this. The God of the universe, he knitted you together, piece by piece, thread by thread. Everything about you, he put it there. The things that you're gifted at, the things that you're passionate about. You didn't wake up one day and just think, you know what? I'm going to be passionate about this. You know, music is a big thing for me. I've been playing music forever. But I didn't wake up one day and be like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to be passionate about music. I can't wait to just love music, and I'm going to do it. No, there was something within me that was drawn to it. And there were people in my life, yes, that cultivated it, that gave me opportunities. But I didn't decide to love music. Something within me was born that way, where I already loved it. And the only thing that happened was when those two opportunities met each other, it just unlocked what was already there. And so every one of you, you've got these things that were placed within you by the God of the universe. And so the things that you love, the things that you're passionate about, the things that you're gifted at, we take them for granted because we're good at them, or we just like them, or we just enjoy them. So we think everybody does. Can I be honest with you? Most of the things that you love doing, I might find interesting to listen to you tell me about, but I probably don't want to do it. Colby Gardens. If you don't know who Colby is, you'll learn. I'm not going to point him out. He's over here. It's a wave, Colby. Colby Gardens. And I love to ask him questions like, Colby, tell me, how's the garden going, man? He's like, I got the cucumbers. I don't know if you have cucumbers, but he's got stuff, right? And I find it fascinating, right? I'm like, man, this is super cool. And I'm like asking him questions about his cucumbers. And I don't know what any of it means, but it's interesting. But can I tell you something? At no point after talking to Colby about his gardening have I thought, I can't wait to go home and start a garden. Like, it's never crossed my mind one time. Why? One, it wouldn't go well. Two, there's just nothing within me that wants to do that. So I find it interesting. I love to hear about other people's passions. I do. The things that they enjoy doing. But it doesn't unlock it in me. Why? It's not mine. And so the thing that we've got to grasp first and foremost is you were designed by the God of the universe before you were ever born. The things that you love, the things that you're good at, the things that you're passionate about, he put it there. And we got to ask ourselves, why? The second thing I want you to notice is this. I want you to understand that you are a gift from God. You're a gift from God. Now, some of you are a little arrogant, and you already knew that, but we're going to unpack this in the right, healthy way, okay? Look down at verse 14. Look at what it says. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works. My soul knows it very well. Now, I find this fascinating, right? Because we do live in this church culture where if we're not careful, all right, we'll overstep God's intentions. So when he talks about like deny yourself, I've literally had conversations with people. I'm like, if you could do anything, what would it be? Be like, well, I love to, this is what I'm excited about. This is what I'm passionate about. This is what I love to do, but I don't want to like it to take God's place. So I'm going to not do it. I'm like, what are you doing? What are you talking about right now? You just told me everything that you're passionate about, that excites you, that you love to do. But in your mind, you have to deny that because somehow that's jockeying with position in your life with God. Now understand, yes, if we're not careful, our passions can flip and be on the wrong side. But what I want you to understand is this. It's misguided for the most part. Why? When we understand who gave us the passion and the gift, then it allows us to live it for Him. It allows us to live it out with Him. He gave it to us for us to enjoy and to enjoy Him. You know, on Christmas morning when my wife and I, give our kids gifts, what if it was like they opened the gifts and they were like, oh, this is a gift. And they came and they just like left them over there and like came and sat in front of me and my wife and like stared at us. Right? And I'd be like, well, what are you doing? They're like, well, we just don't want to take your gifts for granted. We're just going to come stare at you for a while because we're so thankful for you. And I'd be like, well, this is a weird day for me. Okay? I'm not comfortable with anything that's happening right now. Right? What would honor my wife and I in that moment more than anything? To go enjoy the gifts with us that we just gave them, right? If they just took them and ran off to their room and locked the door, well, that's hurtful, right? That's not the right way. But if they're just sitting there and we're all together and they're enjoying this gift that we've given them and we're talking about it and we're watching them enjoy it, think about it. One of the greatest joys is watching them enjoy the things that parents were able to give them. So this idea that God gives us these gifts, like, oh, I can't use this. I got to just stare at Him all the time. No, we go and we enjoy it with Him. And so you are this incredible, wonderful work of the God of the universe. And you're with you 24/7, 365, and the extra one on leap year too. One of the greatest gifts that God has ever given you is yourself, because I'm with me. And when I begin to see the things that were knit within me, when I begin to see the passions that He's given me, when I begin to see all the gifts that He's placed in my life, I say, holy cow, He's incredible. Thank you. Thank you. You mean I get to do this thing? You mean you put this in my heart and in my life? You mean you gave me this gift? And I get to do something with it? And that honors you? Wow. And so when we grasp these things, it gets our mind out of this trying to just get it just right. And no. He says, I'm fearfully and wonderfully made what? Wonderful are your works. You and I are wonderful works of the God of the universe. That's twofold. I need to understand is that, yes, you were a gift from God. You really are. But so is the person next to you. So is the person next to you. See, we're not gifts of God where we elevate ourselves above others. We're gifts from God where we say, my goodness, the God of the universe made me. And He made you. And what I told you at the beginning was you were specifically and specially made. The things that you're great at is way shorter than the things that you're not great at. But when you look around this room, that's why community is so important. Walking with each other is so important, because the things that God placed within me, He may not have placed within you. And the things that He placed within you, He may not have placed within me. And so when we live in community and get to know each other, and we live out those passions, we live out those threads, and we get to encourage each other and support each other and celebrate each other, then in you, I get to see more of who God is that I don't see with me when I'm just living with just me. And so it's this beautiful thing that we understand the church, we all come together and we're these individual gifts put together in one body where we celebrate one another and we live out those passions, we live out those talents. And the most beautiful part, like I told you at the beginning as well, is that when we see it in somebody else, we tell them. When's the last time that you walked up to somebody and said, listen, I want you to know something. And maybe you know this already. But I see this little gift in you. I see something in you. And I hope you see that in you. Because can I tell you something? In my own life, I'm the last person to notice. And I bet you're the same. You're the last person to notice the gifts that you have within you. You just think, oh, it's just me, right? It's just me. I've been with me however many years I've been alive. When's the last time you said, hey, listen, and if I see this in you, and if I can help you, encourage you, well, I just want you to know that I see it. Have you ever asked God what to do with that? We've got to be those who become great at pointing out what we see of God within other people. But that starts with recognizing that they are literally the workmanship of God. We'll get to in a moment. They're the wonderful work of God. They're fascinating. They're intricate. They're individual. All put here by the God of the universe. Every person is interesting. Why? Because God made them. And when we spend time with people, we get the opportunity to speak into their lives and to encourage them to live out the things that we see that God has knit within them. It's incredible. The third thing I want you to notice is this, is that you were created by God. So you were designed by God, you're a gift from God, but you're also created by Him. It may sound redundant, but stay with me. Look in verse 15. My frame was not hidden from you when I was being made in secret, intricately woven in the depths of the earth. What I want you to understand when I say you were created by God Himself, it's this. He didn't just design you and then hand you off to an angel and say, now go make this. When He designed you, He's the one that actually created you. So much so, as we saw there in verse 14, is that He signed His name to you. He said, you are a wonderful work of me. You and I are His masterpieces, and He signed His name to us. And He says, I designed you, I created you myself, and I placed you on this planet. And I gave you this life that I breathed into you. It's like a painter who creates this masterpiece and then signs their name to it. Listen, I don't remember who painted the Mona Lisa. I should have looked it up before I started talking about it, but I didn't. But somebody did. Was it Leonardo? Was it Da Vinci? Thank you. A small child just said yes. A small child, small voice. Learned about that in school recently. Thank you, small voice. And he painted the Mona Lisa. Now listen, I can't paint, I can't draw, I can't do anything artistic. But let's just pretend that I could. And let's just say I painted the Mona Lisa exactly like Da Vinci did. And he's got his name on, and I signed my name to it. Could look exactly the same. But I gotta be honest with you, his is gonna be worth more money. His is going to be more valuable. Why? Because of who he is. Who he is. And so when he signed his name on it, it carries great value. Church, I want you to understand there's a lot of people in this life that will try to sign their name to your life. And they're going to try to tell you what kind of painting you are. But I want you to understand something. That's just a fake. The real masterpiece is the one that God knit together in your mother's womb. And He said, I sign my name to this. This is a wonderful work. This is incredible design that I created myself. We've got to find our value in that. Because everything else tries to take away from that. Everything in this world is designed and marketed to tell you what you're not and what you need. They say, you just need to get this and it's going to work. You just need to have this or be this and it's going to work. If you could just get to this promotion or to get to this job or get to these things, it's what's going to finally work. Everything is telling us every day what you're not. And all the while, before you're even born, God says, this is all that you are. This is all that you are. Understand that you were created by God. It's incredibly important to live this out. The last thing I want you to understand is that you were given a purpose from God. You were given a purpose from God. My whole life, I grew up in the church. I'd heard these verses. People read them off. It went to the last couple of years. Verse 16 just absolutely changed my thinking. Look at what it says. Your eyes saw my unformed substance. In your book were written every one of them, the days that were formed for me, when as yet there was none of them. Here's the context I need you to understand. In verses 13, 14, and 15, what's it talking about? You were knitted together. You were designed. You were created. God formed you, right? And in verse 16, what does it say? Your days were what? Formed for you. The context here is telling you this, is that before you were born, God designed and formed you. But he also formed your days, every one of them. And the moment you took your first breath, it was like he plugged a plug into a wall, and he plugged those two things together. You see, he designed you, and then he designed your life for that design, to live it out. You see, life isn't this thing to figure out. It's not this thing to solve. It's not this thing just to get through. It's understanding who you are and then watching God unfold that as we live that out. He just begins to unfold the days that he designed for us, that he formed for us. So it's not about trying to solve an equation. It's about noticing him. It's about noticing what he's pulling you towards. How often do we look back in our lives and say, you know, man, I was living life in just the right time. This thing just happened to happen. And while that does happen, can I be honest with you? I think every day that we live, there are little moments. There are these little moments where he's speaking into that design. He's speaking into how he formed us. And it's rarely big lights and shiny. It's usually pretty quiet. It's usually pretty mundane. And we really won't notice it unless we're noticers. But we won't be noticers unless we know what to notice. And who I am, my design, until I understand that, until I know it, until I recognize it, all these little things are going to pass by. I'm never going to see it. I'm going to miss it over and over again. It's not complicated. He simplifies it for us. Here's who you are. Here's the days I formed for you. And he's saying, listen, will you just trust me enough? Will you just trust me enough to walk with me, to look within at all I've placed within you and just live it out? Pastor Jonathan, he asked these three questions. I do encourage you to write them down. I should have put them in the outline. I apologize. He asked these three questions. He says, what breaks your heart? Okay? What breaks your heart? Number one. What breaks your heart? The second one he asked is, what do you have to work with? What do you have to work with? And the third is, what are the needs around you? What are the needs around you? What breaks your heart? What do you have to work with? What are the needs around you? As I close, I challenge you to wrestle with those questions, because that's going to begin to help you understand, wait, what are the things that were placed within me? Because can I be honest with you? The things that move you may not move me. The things that break your heart may not break mine. And can I tell you something? That's okay. Everybody doesn't have to be on your page because everybody's not your design. What breaks your heart, let it break your heart and quit worrying about everybody else and begin to ask, how do I live this out? And then you just ask, what do I have to work with? And the thing I hear all the time is, oh, we don't have this and we don't have that and we can't do this, we can't do that. Can I be honest with you? I don't care what you don't have, and I don't care what you can't do. Instead, tell me what do you have and what can you do, and let's start there. We get so focused on the wrong side of it. What do you have? You can say, all I have is a passion. Well, that's a great place to start. And then what are the needs around you? Where's the little places, little opportunities that I can just begin to plug these things in? And you begin to wrestle through those things, begin to write those things down, begin to talk to people and say, what do you see within me? And then you just begin to step out. You begin to try stuff. You begin to do something. Just do it. And see where it goes. And guess what? Sometimes it fails. And I genuinely believe a lot of times those failures is God saying, all right, that one didn't work. It's not because the passion isn't there. Sometimes it's because it's the wrong road. Sometimes it's just because he's saying, do you really trust me enough to keep going? And so as we go into a time of response, listen, you can go through your whole life and just be well-rounded and take other people's beliefs and other people's thoughts and other people's passions and just fit with them and do that. You can do it. It's boring, but you can do it. Or you may ask yourself, who am I? What am I passionate about? What do I love? What am I gifted at? Now understand, whatever you're gifted at, whatever you're passionate about, everybody else probably isn't. It's there for a reason. What are you going to do with it? Begin to have conversations with people. Grab a cup of coffee and talk. Come see us. We have big pots of coffee in there. We drink too much of it. You know, I need help not doing it. So come drink some of ours. And just talk to us. Like, here's what I'm thinking. Here's where my head is. Cool, let's talk about it. Let's dream it up. God is a God of dreams. I genuinely believe that. He's a dreamer. Look around the world. Look at mountains and the Grand Canyon and anteaters, right? He dreamed all that stuff up from nothing. From nothing. And the same God that dreamed all that stuff up dreamed you up too. And every day he's inviting you. He's inviting you to be a part of the story he's written for you and he's designed you for. We don't have to be afraid of it. The last thing I'm going to say before I get done is as we go through different phases of life, it's easy to even begin to say, well, I used to be able to do this. I used to be able to do that. I can't do those things anymore, so I guess, He changes us in phases of life. And this is what he's saying. He says, Austin, I already taught you that stuff. I already did that stuff. I got other things I've placed within you. I want to show you that too. I want to show you this too. Because I want you to know me and I want you to see me. So don't be afraid of what you used to be able to do, what you can't do anymore. It's just a new phase. There's new threads. What are your threads? I'm going to pray for you. We're going to sing. Wrestle with it. As soon as you go out those doors, it's going to take you to be well-rounded and fit in. And God said, no. You're my workmanship, designed by me in every way.